Chapter 1 Filing I Uchiha Ouyama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Choshan stared blankly at the large table tennis racket pattern on the wall, the Uchiha clan emblem, and fell into deep thought. It has been 3 years. Uchiha Choshan didn't expect that he would time travel, and he still traveled to the Uchiha clan in Naruto. However, you can also travel forward. How many years before the Uchiha Itachi clan was exterminated did you ask me to travel back in time? What do you mean? Uchiha Choshan said that he was under a lot of pressure. Although he was a few years older than Uchiha Itachi, he really did not have the fighting talent of Uchiha Itachi, and Uchiha Shisui. Being a ninja really requires talent. Although in the past few years, I have relied on prophetic vision and time travel benefits, strong mental power, to develop the Sharingan to 3 Magatama, and relied on these eyes to become famous as the Uchiha Replica Eye. The enemies who were beaten were frightened by the news and gained some fame. However, his fighting talent is still incomparable with those who seem to be cheating, such as Namake's Minato and Uchiha Itachi. There is really no way to compare with their fighting talent. Namake's Minato had no blood successor and no family. At first, he relied only on the Flying Thunder God technique to overpower the entire generation of Konoha village and become the Hokage. Although Uchiha Itachi has the Mangekyo Sharingan, he relies on his IQ when fighting, not the Mangekyo Sharingan. The Mangekyo Sharingan is just the icing on the cake. Look at how many years he has been using the kaleidoscope, and he was not blinded when he fought with his younger brother Sasuke, even though he put in a lot of water. Look at his younger brother Uchiha Sasuke, how long it took for him to be blind after using the kaleidoscope. Now, he needs to replace his brother's eyes to achieve the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. You see now, although Uchiha Choshan is a few years older than Uchiha Itachi, and both of them have 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes, they still can't take advantage when competing with Uchiha Itachi. You know, Uchiha Choshan, however, those who reached the 3 Magatama a year earlier than Itachi Uchiha can only draw a tie if they have physical advantages and proficiency in the Sharingan. If Uchiha Itachi activates the Mangekyo Sharingan, he will lose without a single encounter. It's almost time for Sasuke Uchiha to enter the ninja school, which means that it's not far away from the death of Uchiha Shisui and the annihilation of Uchiha Itachi, and he doesn't have much time left for him. At this moment, Uchiha Choshan suddenly heard a mechanical voice in his mind. In view of the master's proficiency in using the Sharingan upgrade system is activated. The sudden sound startled Uchiha Choshan and he stood up suddenly. It's probably not a case of being under a genjutsu. Even among the Uchiha clan, my mental power is the best. If it's the Mangekyo Sharingan, even though I can't break free, I should be able to detect something is wrong. It's even less likely that I'm from the Yamanaka clan. They don't have that ability. In this case, the golden finger as a time traveler should have arrived. Thinking of this, Uchiha Choshan calmed down and thought silently. Open the system. After groping for a long time, I finally figured out the purpose of the golden finger. The purpose of the system is very simple and single, which is to help the host evolve the Sharingan. The way of evolution is simpler, that is, copying and learning, the kind of learning that goes further than copying. Copying is just copying, and learning is after copying, learning, digesting, and becoming your own things. Finally, it becomes the nourishment for Sharingan advancement. At this stage, the strength of my Sharingan is enough to learn the unique eye technique of Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Choshan touched his eyes, but he didn't expect that his golden finger would come in such a timely manner. Originally, I only had the ability to protect myself, and just wanted to run away secretly before Uchiha Itachi wiped out the clan. The members of the Uchiha clan only dared to secretly save a few people close to them, and did not dare to make a big splash. Afraid of attracting the attention of Obito Uchiha, the 3rd generation, and Danzo. Now, since my golden finger is so powerful, as long as I grasp it well, I should be able to save my life even if I make a big fuss. Uchiha Choshan turned off the system panel, frowned, and began to think about where he should go to learn the pupil technique next. Now, with the strength of my Sharingan, I can only copy 2 pupil techniques, one for each eye. Now, there are only a few people in the Uchiha clan who have the Mangekyo Sharingan. Counting the time, Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan should have opened at this time, and Uchiha Itachi's Mangekyo should have opened when Shisui died. Not yet. The remaining ones are the Mangekyo Sharingan of the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku, the Mangekyo Sharingan of the second fifth son Toko, and the Sharingan of Kakashi. They are a pair. What I actually want most now is Uchiha Obito's Sharingan Eye technique. Although the attack power may be inferior, the life-saving ability is definitely the best, and it can store things or release people in the Kamui space. However, now even if I want to learn to copy, I can't find anyone else. Regarding Uchiha Obito's pupil technique, Uchiha Choshan could only drool secretly. He had no choice now but to make plans later. Now, the best Mangekyo Sharingan to learn is Uchiha Shisui's. Moreover, it can be said that apart from Uchiha Obito's pupil power, Uchiha Shisui's other gods are the most powerful. It can change a person's mind without knowing it. It can be said to be the strongest genjutsu eye. There is also Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan. He didn't know its power until his death, and he hid it deeply enough. Thinking about it, both of his sons have the ability to activate the Mangekyo Sharingan. He is also the leader of the Uchiha clan, so how could he not activate the Mangekyo? All that remains is the Mangekyo Sharingan of Uchiha Itachi and his brother Uchiha Sasuke. It's still early for Sasuke, and Uchiha Itachi's kaleidoscope may not have been opened yet, but when he gets the news of Uchiha Shisui's death, his eyes will probably be opened. Therefore, the pupil technique that I am most likely to obtain now is Uchiha Shisui's other gods, but I can only use it wisely, not by force. Besides, even if I want to use force, I can't beat it. Uchiha Shisui's Shunshin Shisui's reputation is much greater than his own. He couldn't beat it before he turned on the kaleidoscope, let alone now. Now that I think about it, I, as a time traveler, have had a pretty miserable time, and no one can beat me. Uchiha Choshan sighed and stopped thinking about this sad thing. Now, it is time to find Uchiha Shisui and convince him that he can copy his pupil technique and learn the most powerful illusion be Tianshin. Only in this way can the fate of Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, and the Uchiha clan be rewritten. I don't believe that my noble Uchiha clan will be wiped out by you silently. Uchiha Choshan secretly gritted his teeth, and 3 Magatama suddenly appeared in his black eyes. The Magatama rotated faster and faster in his eyes, and the Magatama tails seemed to be connected into a line. Chapter 2 Uchiha Shisui's Other Gods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Uchiha Shisui's Other Gods. Uchiha Choshan searched all over the Uchiha station, and finally found Uchiha Shisui in a remote place by the river. As the strongest member of the new generation of Uchiha, Uchiha Shisui not only does not have the arrogance of the Uchiha clan, but on the contrary, Shisui is very kind and treats others gently. When he found him in Uchiha Hill, Uchiha Shisui was sitting by the river, looking at the river quietly. Shisui, you're here again. What are you doing? Uchiha Choshan walked over and said hello with a smile. Hearing the sound, Uchiha Shisui moved his eyes from the river. When he saw it was Uchiha Choshan, he looked at the river again and replied at the same time. I just came back from a mission. Sit here. How about you? Why are you here too? You are hiding here again. I am different. I have something to do and I come here to find you. Uchiha Choshan said straight to the point without intending to beat around the bush. When Uchiha Shisui heard Uchiha Choshan's serious tone, he looked at him again, and his originally calm expression became serious. What's going on? I've never seen you so serious before. Thinking of the recent tension between the Uchiha clan and the village, Uchiha Shisui thought something had happened again, and couldn't help but raise it in his mind. Seeing Uchiha Shisui's face, as a close friend who grew up with him, Uchiha Choshan knew what he was worried about and comforted him. Don't worry, nothing happened to the clan recently. It's me who comes to you if I have something to do. Uchiha Shisui breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. If you have something to say, just say it directly. Why are you so serious? Looking at Shisui's smiling face, Uchiha Choshan didn't say anything, and directly activated his chakra, revealing the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Seeing Choshan reveal his Sharingan, Shisui was a little confused, wondering what he wanted to do. I saw the 3 Magatama in Uchiha Choshan's Sharingan spinning faster and faster. and the tail of the Magatama faintly outlined some shapes. Uchiha Shisui was shocked when he saw this, as if the biggest secret in his heart had been revealed, and he exclaimed. "What happened to your Sharingan?" Seeing Uchiha Shisui's appearance, Uchiha Choshan smiled with satisfaction, his eyes filled with smiles of a successful prank. He did not answer Jisui's question, but slowly closed his Sharingan, looking at Jisui with a smile on his face. Without speaking, Uchiha Shisui saw that Choshan had been looking at him without saying a word. He knew what he meant and made a hesitant sound. "You guessed it all." Uchiha Choshan shook his head and said, "I didn't guess it, I saw it." When Shisui heard this, he shook his head in disbelief. "It's impossible. I only opened the Mangekyo Sharingan not long ago, and it has never been revealed outside." Uchiha Choshan was silent for a moment and pointed to his left eye. "The eye technique of my kaleidoscope is called time gap. Its ability is to see some future scenes, not many. I happen to see you. Fragments. It sounds a little ridiculous. At first I thought it was an illusion, but judging from your expression, it must be right. Shisui, you are indeed the genius of our Uchiha clan. Even the Mangekyo Sharingan was opened before me." After listening to what Choshan said, Uchiha Shisui thought that his Mangekyo Sharingan eye technique could even have such outrageous abilities as his own other gods. So, Uchiha Choshan's Mangekyo eye technique didn't seem to be difficult to accept. In fact, how could Uchiha Choshan have the ability to see the future? He was just using the plot he knew to fool Uchiha Shisui, and his kaleidoscope only appeared in advance with the help of his huge mental power and system. It just looks like a bluff. It's just a kaleidoscope with a blank slate, without any ability. Although Uchiha Shisui is kind-hearted, he still has the basic qualities of a strong man. He calmed down and noticed something was wrong. He looked at Uchiha Choshan and asked. "Based on what I know about you, you came to me not just to confirm my kaleidoscope, right?" Uchiha Choshan decided to give Shisui a surprise, looked into Shisui's eyes and said. "I saw you died. I'm not sure when, but it should be not far from now." Uchiha Choshan saw the pupils in Shisui's eyes shrink suddenly, his face twitched uncontrollably, and then said. "After you died, a few years later, the Uchiha were also exterminated." Hearing this, Uchiha Shisui could no longer sit still. He stood up and retorted. "Impossible, our Uchiha clan is the largest clan in Konoha village after all. We have been in Konoha since the beginning of Konoha village. Our Konoha clan is also the #1 ninja village. How can it be possible to exterminate the clan just by saying it is to be exterminated? Who has the guts to do so? Who has this ability?" That when Uchiha Choshan saw the excited Uchiha Shisui, he did not comfort him, but said something meaningful. "People outside the Leaf Village are incapable, but what if they are people inside the Leaf Village?" After Uchiha Shisui heard Uchiha Choshan's words, he seemed to think of something. He fell silent for a while, his lips trembled, and he asked in a hoarse voice. "What else did you see?" Uchiha Choshan paused and organized his words. "In fact, I didn't see many pictures. Except for some ordinary daily life, there are only a few useful ones. Your Sharingan should be very precious. I saw you lying on the ground with your eyes dug out. Next to you stood the third Hokage and Danzo Shimura. Your eyes were held by Danzo Shimura. There were many Anbu next to you. People." Uchiha Shisui didn't really believe that he would die easily with the kaleidoscope turned on, but when he heard Uchiha Choshan talking about the third Hokage standing next to him when he died, thinking of his kaleidoscope's ability and his trust in the third Hokage, there was the vicious Danzo Shimura who connected things, and Shisui Uchiha almost figured it out. "Based on my trust in the third Hokage, I should tell the third Hokage about his activation of the Mangekyo and the Mangekyo eye technique in a while. Even if the third Hokage cannot bear to kill me and seize the Sharingan, the ability of other gods is too terrifying." If the third Hokage told Danzo, Danzo would most likely advocate killing people and eye-catching people, and the third Hokage would probably acquiesce. "As long as you don't kill me head-on, if you attack me secretly, based on my trust in the third Hokage, the success rate is still very high. Thinking of this, Uchiha Shisui couldn't help but feel his heart slowly sinking, and the look in his eyes dimmed a lot. Unexpectedly, even the third Hokage could not tolerate my other gods. Uchiha Shisui connected the causes and consequences of his death, and asked Uchiha Choshan, what else? Chapter 3 The Eye of Replication. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Choshan seemed to be trying his best to endure something. His voice was hoarse, and he said word by word, "The Uchiha clan has been exterminated, ". Uchiha Choshan's eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes, and he was staring at Uchiha Shisui fiercely, but Shisui knew that he was not staring at himself, but the enemy he would be a few years later. That night, the Uchiha ninjas and the ordinary clan members did not escape, they all died. In the end, only 2 clan members were still alive. Uchiha Itachi defected, leaving only the clan leader's youngest son Uchiha Sasuke still in Konoha village. Uchiha Choshan did not say that Uchiha Itachi killed the entire clan. Although Uchiha Itachi told Sasuke that he killed the Uchiha clan, anyone with a brain will know that it is impossible if they think about it carefully. The Uchiha clan is the largest clan in Konoha. Let alone Uchiha Itachi, even if the first Hokage Senju Hashirama is still alive, it is impossible to quietly destroy the Uchiha clan without help. After hearing what Uchiha Choshan said, Uchiha Shisui fell into silence, and the 2 of them were relatively speechless. At this time, the moon also climbed into the sky, and the moonlight shone on the 2 expressionless faces. For a long time, Uchiha Shisui seemed to accept the reality, and finally spoke, asking in a calm tone. Have you ever said these things to anyone else? Uchiha Choshan shook his head. No, what I said is too shocking. Even if I say it, most people won't believe it. Didn't you go to the clan leader? If you explain to him in detail, I think he will definitely believe you. When Uchiha Shisui asked him to tell the clan leader, Uchiha Choshan simply shook his head. No, I don't believe the clan leader. Why? Because the clan leader also has the Mangekyo Sharingan, and even though he died in the end, the only 2 remaining Uchiha are his sons. Don't you think it's too coincidental? I can't judge the clan leader's position. If I tell him, it doesn't matter if I'm trapped, but there's no way to save you and your tribe. Uchiha Shisui seemed to be convinced by Uchiha Choshan, looked at him and asked. What do you need me to do? Seeing that Shisui believed in his words, Uchiha Choshan breathed a sigh of relief. After spending a long time talking, he finally convinced Shisui. It seemed that the future could still be changed. Shisui, you are the most powerful person in our Uchiha clan, and now you are the hope of our clan. I hope you will be more careful and don't let down your guard against anyone, especially the 3rd Hokage and Shimura Danzo. You need to be even more vigilant when you are around and don't let down your guard. Hearing Choshan's words, Shisui knew that he was worried about his safety, nodded and agreed, of course, don't worry. Also, have you told anyone about turning on the kaleidoscope? Seeing Uchiha Shisui shaking his head, Choshan felt relieved. That's good, don't tell anyone that you have activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. Remember, it's anyone. There is no airtight wall in the world. As long as you tell one more person, it will be more dangerous. Uchiha Choshan warned worriedly. Finally, can you tell me the name and function of your Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil technique? In this way, I have an idea and can make plans and arrangements according to our specific situation. Of course, I will tell you my Mangekyo first. Is this okay with the pupil skills and functions? Shisui thought for a while and felt that Choshan's request was not too much, and for the future of the Uchiha clan, the 2 of them really needed to join forces, so he nodded and agreed. Seeing that Uchiha Shisui agreed, Uchiha Choshan breathed a sigh of relief. Having said so much and done so much, he is still not another god who wants to copy Shisui. Uchiha Choshan pointed to his left eye and continued, the pupil technique of my Mangekyo Sharingan's left eye is called time gap. I can see some pictures and fragments of the future. The disadvantage is that it is not under my control. It's random, you already know that. Seeing Uchiha Shisui nod his head to express his understanding, Uchiha Choshan suddenly asked, "Shisui, do you remember my nickname?" "Well, remember, the Uchiha's compound eye is called Uchiha. Among the Uchiha clan, you are the best at copying the enemy's ninjutsu." Seeing that Shisui still knew his nickname, Uchiha Choshan suddenly laughed twice, pointed to his right eye proudly, and said, "The name of the pupil technique in my right eye is replication pupil. Can you guess what its function is?" "The Eye of Replication. You were able to copy ninjutsu when you were in San Magatama, and now you have the Mangekyo Sharingan. So, it should be that your copying ability has been improved." Uchiha Shisui murmured to himself. The words arrived slowly. He seemed to be frightened by what he had guessed, and the eyes he looked at Uchiha Choshan became more and more uncomfortable. Uchiha Choshan laughed twice and said with some pride, "Yes, as you guessed, my Mangekyo Sharingan can copy some special ninjutsu. These special ninjutsu have a special function. The name is called, Blood Succession Limit. In fact, the current Uchiha Choshan's Sharingan has not yet reached the level of being able to copy the blood successor limit. However, according to the system prompts, as long as Uchiha Choshan's Sharingan can be copied to Uchiha Shisui's other gods, it will be successful. Evolving into the Mangekyo Sharingan, you can copy part of the ninjutsu of the blood succession limit." Seeing that Shisui seemed to be frightened by him, Uchiha Choshan scratched his head in embarrassment and added, "Don't be frightened. You can only copy a limited number of them. It's not as exaggerated as you think." Uchiha Shisui came back to his senses and felt a little funny about his gaffe just now. "I originally thought that my Mangekyo Sharingan eye technique ability was already very scary, but I didn't expect that your eye technique ability is no better than mine." Uchiha Shisui paused and said, "The left and right eyes of my Mangekyo Sharingan are a kind of pupil technique, and the name is Better God. The ability is to control others at will without knowing it, and permanently completely change people's thoughts and will. However, it has a big disadvantage. The cooldown time is very long. I can feel that after using my pupil technique once, I will have to wait at least 10 years before I can use it again." Speaking of this, Uchiha Shisui sighed deeply and was so powerless. "I originally wanted to use this pupil technique to ease the relationship between the village and our Uchiha clan, but now it seems that I still failed and lost it. Killed his life and Sharingan." When Uchiha Choshan heard Shisui talking about the power of his Mangekyo Sharingan, he knew that he was one step closer to his goal, and said in a thoughtful tone, "If your Mangekyo's power is this, then, I know what should be done to ease the tension between the clan and the village." Chapter 4: Obtaining Other Gods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Uchiha Okayama's words, Shisui was like a drowning man grabbing the last straw to save his life. It can be said that Uchiha Shisui is the person who most hopes that his tribe and the village can live in peace. If my proposal is to let the Uchiha clan leave Konoha, Uchiha Shisui would probably be the saddest, or the one who disagrees with it the most, although the best way now is to let the Uchiha clan leave Konoha, because Konoha village is the #1 ninja village. There are too many incidents, big and small. If nothing else, in a few years, Jiraiya's trader will come to Konoha village to capture the Kyubi. First of all, up came a super Shinra Tensei, which directly razed the huge Konoha village to the ground. Etc., etc. Therefore, the best way now is to move the whole family and leave Konoha village. Maybe the third Hokage will hold a farewell ceremony when he sees that the Uchiha clan is so understanding. However, after the farewell is over, the Uchiha clan may be destroyed in one step, and the Uchiha clan can be legitimately destroyed. Moreover, as Uchiha Shisui who believes in the will of fire, he loves not only his tribe, but also the entire Konoha village. Therefore, Uchiha Shisui probably would not agree with this opinion. Therefore, the next best thing, in order to save his own life and that of the Uchiha clan, only by easing the relationship between the clan and the village can the Uchiha clan's fate of being exterminated be changed. Thinking of this, Uchiha Choshan threw his question to Uchiha Shisui. "Shisui, who do you want to use this eye technique on? Tell me and I'll see if it's right." Uchiha Shisui scratched his head in embarrassment. I want to use other gods on Shimura Danzo and our clan leader. In this way, we can ease the relationship and reduce conflicts. When Uchiha Qiaoshan heard Shisui's words, he covered his head in despair. Don't you know where the problem lies? Danzo is just an enemy of Uchiha on the surface. He really doesn't trust Uchiha, and the person who can make the decision is the third Hokage. Moreover, within our clan leader is not the main battler. Pai, the clan leader, has been mediating the relationship between the clan and the village. Although the effect is not very great, it is the elders who really stir up conflicting emotions. Jisue, you have found the wrong person. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Shisui's fighting talent was so high, but he was not good at seeing the essence of things. After hearing Qiao Shan's words, Uchiha Shisui realized that he was so naive, and asked with some uncertainty. So, should the target of my pupil technique be the third Hokage and the great elder? Qiao Shan shook his head. That's not enough. The relationship between Danzo and the third generation is too close. If you change the third generation's thoughts, it won't be long before Danzo realizes something is wrong. By then, we will have no way to turn back. It's not you. Uchiha Shisui's rebellion means the Uchiha clan is annihilated. Therefore, you have to change the minds of at least 3 people at the same time before this can be done. Hearing what Uchiha Qiaoshan said, Shisui was a little angry and frustrated and threw the stone in his hand into the river. Is there no other way? Seeing Uchiha Shisui sulking there, Uchiha Qiaoshan hesitated, opened his mouth, said nothing, and closed his mouth again. Seeing Qiao Shan's appearance, Jisue felt a glimmer of hope again. Do you have any ideas? Given the current situation, there is nothing else you can't say. Seeing Shisui's eager eyes, Uchiha Qiaoshan thought for a while and finally spoke out. Actually, my pupil technique, replication pupil, also has the ability to copy the pupil technique of the Mangekyo Sharingan. I didn't say it before because I didn't intend to use this ability, so as not to make you misunderstand and think that I am spying on you. Pupil technique. Although he felt guilty for deceiving an honest person, Uchiha Qiaoshan had no choice. Now, only Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Eye technique is the easiest to copy. Only in this way can his Sharingan evolve at the fastest speed. Moreover, he also planned to help Shisui. If his Sharingan did not activate the kaleidoscope, he would be regarded as a high-level cannon fodder at most, let alone save Uchiha Shisui's life and change the fate of the Uchiha clan being exterminated. Uchiha Shisui didn't expect that Uchiha Qiaoshan's Sharingan could also copy his own pupil technique. He was a little surprised at first, but he was immediately replaced by surprise. How could it be? It's too late for me to be happy. I am happy to contribute to the survival of the Uchiha clan. Although Uchiha Shisui loves the village very much, he loves his own people even more. Until his death, he was thinking about his tribe and the village. The bloodline of the Uchiha clan is very strange. People who want to pursue power are often not very strong. Those who do not want power, but only want love, instead gain the power that others can only hope for after losing love. Therefore, the second Hokage believes that the Uchiha clan is an evil clan, because the strong men of the Uchiha clan, those who turn on the Mangekyo Sharingan, are basically people who have lost their loved ones, that is to say, they are all people who have been darkened. Uchiha Qiaoshan saw that Shisui agreed to his request so happily, and couldn't help but ask Shisui. Shisui, don't you suspect that I lied to you? How could it be? I believe in you. You are my best friend and someone I can trust with my life. Uchiha Shisui smiled brightly when he heard Qiao Shan's words. Hearing Shisui's words, Uchiha Qiaoshan was deeply touched and secretly swore. Don't worry, Shisui, you are also my best friend. I will definitely save your life and our family. Well, Shisui, let's get started. Now, I need you to open your Mangekyo Sharingan, so that I can copy your pupil technique. Don't worry, it will be quick, and it will not cause any harm to you. Harm. Hearing Uchiha Qiaoshan's words, Shisui nodded, silently mobilized the chakra in his body, and poured it into his eyes. watching Shisui's Sharingan rotate from the three Magatama faster and faster, and finally outlined the shape of a four-cornered shuriken. I have seen the Mangekyo Sharingan in anime before, but this is the first time I have seen it in reality. It feels more mysterious and magnificent than in anime, and it has a soul-stirring power. Seeing Uchiha Shisui opening his Mangekyo Sharingan and waiting for him, Chou-shan immediately opened his own Sharingan and faced Shisui's Mangekyo. When Uchiha Chou-shan's Sharingan faced Shisui's Mangekyo, he felt that his Sharingan was spinning faster and faster, and his chakra and mental power were being consumed at a rapid rate. At the same time, the Sharingan was spinning faster and faster. As the Magatama rotates, it gets hotter and hotter, as if it is about to melt. Finally, when Uchiha Chou-shan consumed a lot of chakra and mental power and could no longer hold on, the speed of his Sharingan rotation finally slowed down, and Magatama slowly outlined a figure similar to that of Uchiha Shisui. The exact same pattern as the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Okayama's Mangekyo Sharingan is finally completed. Chapter 7 Other Gods Succeed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The third Hokage remained calm, and after all the ANBU personnel had gone out, he nodded. Shisui, open your Sharingan, I'll help you take a look. Is there anything wrong? Seeing that the third Hokage was not suspicious, Uchiha Shisui secretly clenched his hand and replied respectfully. Okay, Lord Third Hokage. Uchiha Shisui raised his head, his eyes met the third Hokage, and he opened his Sharingan. The three Magatama in his eyes turned faster and faster. Soon, the Magatama were connected end to end. Slowly it turned into a four-cornered shuriken. The third Hokage looked at Uchiha Shisui's Sharingan and was shocked. Although it was the first time he saw it, the third Hokage was very sure that Uchiha Shisui's eyes were the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan, and the light and it looking at each other, one can feel a breathtaking pressure. At this moment, Uchiha Shisui suddenly secretly increased the output of his pupil power, and the pupil technique, Beyond the God, was quietly activated. Without the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen being aware of it, the other gods quietly and quickly invaded his brain and changed his thoughts. At this time, as long as Uchiha Shisui is willing, the leader of Konoha village, one of the top leaders of the entire ninja world, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, will become his slave, and his orders from Uchiha Shisui will be the highest instructions of the third Hokage. However, he is Uchiha Shisui, a person who loves the village and his people. Although the third Hokage is somewhat targeting the Uchiha clan, how could Uchiha Shisui enslave this elder who has dedicated his life to the village? Let alone, the country of fire is not peaceful now. If Shisui changes the mind of the third Hokage, then it may bring terrible disaster to the village and the tribe. Therefore, Uchiha Shisui just used this opportunity to ask the third Hokage to ignore the Uchiha clan and stop targeting them. In this way, the Uchiha clan will be preserved and the village will not fall into disaster, such as war. The third Hokage looked at Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. He felt dazed for a moment, then came back to his senses. He didn't care. He looked at the pattern of the Sharingan carefully and said, Okay, Shisui, put your Sharingan away. I've already looked at it. Do you think there are any other changes in your Sharingan besides the change in pattern? Uchiha Shisui put away the Mangekyo Sharingan and still replied respectfully. Back to Hokage-sama, since my Sharingan has changed, my chakra has increased a lot, my genjutsu ability has also been greatly improved, my observation has become much sharper, and the power of ninjutsu has also been improved to a certain extent. Uchiha Shisui had already discussed with Uchiha Chou-shan. Except for hiding the pupil technique contained in the Mangekyo Sharingan, so as not to arouse the fear of the third Hokage, everything else was told truthfully. With the capacity of the third Hokage, he could still tolerate a powerful Kage level. What's more, this Kage level powerhouse is his third generation Hokage. When the third Hokage heard Uchiha Shisui's words, he couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that Uchiha Shisui's strength was among the top among Jounin. With his extraordinary fighting talent and superb illusion ability, he broke into the Shunshin Shisui water's name. Now, with the Mangekyo Sharingan activated, his strength has suddenly become a shadow-level powerhouse. As the third Hokage, I am not sure that I can suppress him. The Uchiha clan is indeed the first-class blood family in the ninja world, and the Sharingan can easily improve their strength. However, the third generation is very relieved about Uchiha Shisui. As a descendant of Uchiha Mirror, he has inherited the fire will of the Hokage lineage, and the third generation has watched him grow up, and he is really very concerned about Uchiha Shisui's character. Don't worry, he believed that under his tireless brainwashing by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Shisui would not be able to escape from his grasp. It seems that ideological education needs to be strengthened in the future. Thinking of this, the third Hokage showed a kind smile on his face. Shisui, you are indeed the Mangekyo Sharingan. It's great. In this way, our Konoha village has added another shadow-level strongman. At this time, the border of the Land of Fire is in turmoil. At that time, I am so happy that you can grow up. As long as there are leaves flying, there will be fire burning, and the fire will shine on the village, and then new leaves will sprout again. Shisui, we are the burning leaves. Even if we die, there will still be countless descendants who will inherit our legacy and make our Konoha village even more glorious. Uchiha Shisui heard what the third Hokage said. Although he knew that he was bewitching him as before, he was still very touched in his heart. Although I love my village, I also love my people. Uchiha Shisui could only say sorry to the third generation silently in his heart. However, on the surface, Uchiha Shisui was still the same as before, as if he had found a soulmate, and his face was very excited. Yes, Hokage-sama, as long as our village can prosper and future generations can be happy, even if we die, it will be a worthy death. The third Hokage looked at Uchiha Shisui with a kind face. He still recognized his will of fire very much as before, and couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction, knowing that Uchiha Shisui had just returned from a mission, and that this kind of thing was too much. He just stopped it when it was good, and finally gave his instructions. Okay, Shisui, you should be tired too, go back and rest. However, don't let too many people know about your activation of the Mangekyo Sharingan. This way, you can also reduce a lot of trouble. Uchiha Shisui replied respectfully, okay, Hokage-sama, I understand. Seeing the third Hokage waving to him, Uchiha Shisui made a fist and saluted before walking outside. After seeing Uchiha Shisui withdraw, the third Hokage continued to process the remaining documents. Suddenly, the third Hokage stopped writing in his hand, and his brows gradually wrinkled. He looked at the document in his hand about reporting the Uchiha Guard's rough law enforcement, and decided to treat Uchiha more preferentially, and no longer put all the blame on the guards like before. On the team, in this way, he can better win over Uchiha Shisui. Thinking of this, the third Hokage wrote down his instructions. As everyone knows, he was also affected by some other influences. After Uchiha Shisui left the Hokage building, he rushed towards the Uchiha clan. When he was about to arrive, Uchiha Shisui suddenly turned a corner and rushed towards a remote place outside the village. Things went smoothly for the third Hokage. In order to prevent long nights and nightmares, Uchiha Shisui decided to go to Shimura Danzo immediately. As long as he solved Danzo, who had always hated the Uchiha clan and held the root, most of the problems would be solved. The rest is up to Uchiha Okayama. Chapter 8 Peak Shadow Level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Peak of Film Level. Uchiha Chaoshan didn't know that Shisui had already taken care of the third Hokage. On his side, he had just arrived at a residence in the Uchiha clan that was relatively close to the Uchiha clan's ancestral temple. This residence is much larger than the residences of ordinary Uchiha clan members, and is comparable to the residence of the leader of the Uchiha clan. This is the residence of Uchiha Ling, the great elder of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Chaoshan came directly to the courtyard and said loudly, "Has the great elder rested?" Uchiha Chaoshan has something to ask for. After a while, the voice of the great elder Uchiha Ling came from inside the house. "Chaoshan, it's so late, what's important? Come in and talk." The great elder admires Uchiha Chaoshan. As a genius as famous as Uchiha Shisui, although he is closer to Uchiha Shisui, his character is not as ambitious as Shisui. You can win over. Uchiha Chaoshan opened the door and entered the room. He saw a tall, white-haired, energetic old man sitting behind a low table, looking at him seriously. Uchiha Chio-shan nodded and said, "Chio-shan has met the Great Elder." The Great Elder nodded, motioned Uchiha Chio-shan to sit down, stretched out his hand to pour him a cup of tea, then picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip of tea before finally speaking. "Why did you come to see me so late?" After hearing what the Great Elder said, Uchiha Chio-shan put down his teacup calmly. "Chio-shan is here for the future of the Uchiha clan." The elder heard the hidden meaning of Uchiha Chio-shan's words, and his face that had been relaxed suddenly became tense. "Why, you also think that the Uchiha clan's current predicament has something to do with me?" "Yes, please forgive me, Great Elder. I think the relationship between our Uchiha clan and the village is too tense now. If this is the case, something will happen sooner or later." Haha, the Great Elder chuckled twice with an expressionless face. He stopped mentioning this topic and instead started talking about other things. "Chio-shan, do you know how Konoha village came to be?" Returning to the elder, Chio-shan knows a thing or two. At first, the village was jointly established by the Senju clan and our Uchiha clan. Later, we were joined by Hinata, Yuan Fei, Shimura and other clans, and it was slowly formed. The current Konoha village. The Great Elder looked at Uchiha Chio-shan with a slightly different look inside. "You are very good. There are not many young people like you who know history now. Chio-shan is just more interested in the past, so he knows more." The Great Elder ignored Uchiha Chio-shan and continued. "I think back then, Konoha village was founded by our Uchiha ancestor Uchiha Madara, who led the Uchiha clan, and the Senju clan led by Senju Hashirama, the leader of the Senju clan. Originally, Senju Hashirama wanted Madara-sama to be the leader of the clan. The first Hokage, but later Madara-sama gave up for unknown reasons, and Senju Hashirama became the first Hokage. Later, Madara-sama and the first Hokage had a falling out, and they fought in the Valley of the End. In the end, he was killed on the spot by the first Hokage. Not long after the first Hokage came back, he also died. The first Hokage's younger brother Senju Tabiho took over and became the second-generation Hokage. The second-generation Hokage believed that it was Madara-sama who caused the first Hokage to pass away early, so he targeted us Uchiha clan everywhere. Konoha village was founded by our Uchiha clan and Senju clan. Without us Uchiha, where would there be today's Konoha village? If you look at these generations of Hokages, they are all from the Senju clan. There is no share of our Uchiha clan." Having said this, the Great Elder was very excited and seemed to be furious. "So, you feel uncomfortable and think that our Uchiha clan should be in charge of Konoha village?" That the Great Elder sighed. "I also know it's impossible, but I can't let go of this feeling in my heart. Look at what the Yuan Fei clan is now. A mere small clan has actually taken the position of Hokage." As he spoke, the Great Elder raised his hand and slapped the table angrily, causing some of the tea in the teacup to splash out. Looking at the furious elder, Uchiha Chio-shan smiled helplessly. It seemed that the elder couldn't make sense here and had to use the last resort. After the Great Elder's mood stabilized, Uchiha Chio-shan said, "Great Elder, I came to you this time not only because I want to persuade you, but mainly because there is something wrong with my Sharingan. As the elder of the Uchiha clan, you know more, so I want to ask you please help me take a look." Hearing Uchiha Chio-shan's words, the elder put down his teacup and looked at Chio-shan. "I saw Uchiha Okayama opening the Sharingan, and slowly activated it. The three Magatama in his eyes turned faster and faster, and slowly turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan with the same four-cornered shuriken pattern as Uchiha Shisui." The elder looked at Uchiha Chio-shan's Mangekyo Sharingan. His expression was a little dazed, a little excited, and a little unbelievable. He clutched the teacup tightly in his right hand and murmured, "It finally appeared, it finally appeared, the Mangekyo Sharingan of our Uchiha clan has finally appeared." As he spoke, the Great Elder's eyes gradually became moist. Uchiha Chio-shan originally planned to use the better god directly on the elder, but he didn't expect the elder to be so excited when he saw his Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Chio-shan thought about it and temporarily gave up using the better god. He wanted to listen to what the Great Elder says. after a long time, the great elder Uchiha Ling finally recovered and said with a self-deprecating smile. I'm old, and I still cry, which makes Chio-shan laugh. Uchiha Chio-shan asked his question. Why is the great elder so excited? Is it just because my Sharingan has changed? The great elder Uchiha Ling shook his head. Your Sharingan is not a mutation, but an evolution. It is a higher level Sharingan than the 3 Magatama Sharingan. It is called the Mangekyo Sharingan. Having the Mangekyo Sharingan, you know what it means. Although Uchiha Chio-shan knew it in his heart, he couldn't say it because he couldn't tell where he knew it, so he could only shake his head in cooperation. Well, I don't blame you, because our Uchiha clan has not had the Mangekyo Sharingan for a long time, and because our ancestor Uchiha Madara is the owner of the famous Mangekyo Sharingan, so our Uchiha clan is here. The clan will not publicize the Mangekyo Sharingan. It is normal that your younger generation has not heard of it. So, was our ancestor Uchiha Madara so powerful because of his Mangekyo Sharingan? The elder nodded. Part of it is, but the reason why Uchiha Madara is strong is not only because of the Mangekyo Sharingan, but also because he is Uchiha Madara. However, the Mangekyo Sharingan is also a very powerful blood successor. As long as the Mangekyo Sharingan is opened and given a period of time to grow, he will become a peak Kage level powerhouse. What about Uchiha Madara? Is he also a peak Kage level powerhouse? Chapter 9 Uchiha Tradition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Madara-sama. Uchiha Madara-sama has certainly surpassed the shadow-level powerhouse. He is as famous as the first-generation Hokage Senju Hashirama. There were memories and pride in the elder's eyes. Super shadow-level powerhouse. Yes, those who have surpassed the shadow level and can easily defeat the shadow level strong ones are the super shadow level strong ones. This is also very rare in the history of our Uchiha clan. Hearing that the great elder praised Uchiha Madara so much, Uchiha Chio-shan pointed at himself. What about me? I have also awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Can I reach the height of Madara Uchiha? That when the great elder heard Uchiha Chio-shan's words, he seemed to have come back from his memory. He looked at his Mangekyo Sharingan again. A happy smile appeared on his usually serious face, and he nodded. It will definitely happen, Chio-shan. You are still young. Lord Uchiha Madara has not awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan at your age. As long as you work hard, you will definitely become the next Uchiha Madara, or even surpass him. Uchiha Chio-shan knew that he had systematic help and it would be a matter of time before he surpassed Uchiha Madara. However, when he heard the great elder's words of encouragement, he still felt indescribably moved in his heart. The great elder, Uchiha Ling, was sitting next to the table. He seemed to have thought of something, and his face changed several times. Finally, his face became serious again, and even his tone of voice became very serious. Uchiha Ouyama. Seeing the face of the great elder, Uchiha Chio-shan knew that it was a very important matter and did not dare to deal with it. He straightened up immediately and his face became serious. Here, what are the orders of the great elder? The great elder straightened his body. I, Uchiha Ling, promise you in the name of the great elder Uchiha that from now on, as long as you do not betray the Uchiha clan, I will fully support you and help you become the leader of the Uchiha clan. The elder said in a serious tone. Word for word. Uchiha Chio-shan was a little shocked when he heard the great elder's words. I haven't used other gods yet. How could the great elder become like this? The elder saw the surprised expression on Uchiha Chio-shan's face, and the corner of his mouth curled up, revealing a smile. Chio-shan, you still underestimated the Mangekyo Sharingan of our Uchiha clan. Do you know how precious the Mangekyo Sharingan of our Uchiha clan is? It is not only a symbol of strength, but also represents that you have the ability to grow into a strong person. Potential is also a symbol of the purity of the bloodline of our Uchiha clan. As long as a clan member has opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, it not only represents his talent and potential, but also means that he is the purest bloodline of our Uchiha clan. Therefore, as long as a tribesman can open the Mangekyo Sharingan, it means that he has the potential to compete with the tribe leader and is the leader who is destined to lead the tribe to glory. Uchiha Qiaoshan was indeed a little surprised when he heard the elder's words. Although he had read the original work, the Uchiha clan at that time had Uchiha Itachi lead people to kill him. He didn't know these things at all. After all, the Uchiha clan had never it was inherited from the Six Paths immortal lineage. After many years of ups and downs, how could it not leave something behind? Uchiha Qiaoshan digested the elder's words for a while, and looked at the elder's eyes looking at him expectantly, and his heart moved. Great Elder, what if I have a request? Can you do it? The great elder laughed and said cheerfully. Isn't it just to restrain the tribesmen and reduce the conflict between them and the village? Even if you don't say it, I will do it. The great elder saw the puzzled look in Uchiha Okayama's eyes and replied. Today is different from the past. Now, your Mangekyo Sharingan has just opened, and your strength will have an explosive period. Moreover, the Mangekyo Sharingan is not as simple as you think. It not only increases your chakra volume and observation power, etc., the most important thing is that each Mangekyo Sharingan has a kind of pupil technique. Compared with ninjutsu, the pupil technique of Mangekyo is either much more powerful, or the ability is weird and unpredictable. The most powerful pupil technique it may all involve space and time. There is no powerful blood inheritance limit. It is completely unsolvable when encountering this kind of pupil technique. Of course, the pupil technique of the Mangekyo only ensures that you have the upper hand when fighting against a shadow-level strongman. Finally, it is the divine power that developed the Mangekyo Sharingan, Susanoo. Speaking of this, Uchiha Qiaoshan saw the great elder's face full of enthusiasm, as if Susanoo was his lifelong belief. The great elder looked at Uchiha Qiaoshan. Susanoo, our Uchiha's ultimate kaleidoscope eye technique. Back then, Madara-sama developed Susanoo to the fourth stage of its miraculous skills, so that he could compete with Senju Hashirama, known as the god of ninja. Therefore, the past few years have been your period of explosive strength. After a few years, you will be able to use your pupil skills skillfully, and you have developed Susanoo to the limit. By then, the entire Konoha village will be unable to find it. When you reach someone who can compete with you, that's when our Uchiha clan will turn around. When Uchiha Qiaoshan heard the words of the great elder, he secretly felt ashamed in his heart. Unexpectedly, the great elder had such high expectations for him. It seemed that he had to work hard to develop and master Susanoo as soon as possible. In this way, only then can one's own strength improve qualitatively. If you want to fight me, if you don't agree with me, I will drive the Gundam, so I ask you if you are afraid. Seeing the attitude of the great elder, Uchiha Qiaoshan was relieved. The great elder Uchiha Ling was unexpectedly dealt with. Not only did he get his support, but he also saved a other god. Now, it's time to visit the clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku. As the leader of the Uchiha clan and the father of Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke, he must have activated the Mangekyo Sharingan, so be extremely careful. However, it now seems that he probably did not tell the great elder about opening the Mangekyo Sharingan. Otherwise, the great elder would have supported him early and would not have gone against him. After bidding farewell to the great elder, Uchiha Fugaku rushed directly to the center of the clan. As the clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku must of course live in the center, and it is the largest one. The Uchiha clan's territory is not too big. Uchiha Qiaoshan rushed to the clan leader's residence in a few seconds. Since he was delayed for a long time with the elder, when he arrived at his destination, the clan leader's courtyard, Uchiha Qiaoshan, it was already a bit late, and there were no lights in the courtyard. It seemed that Uchiha Fugaku had rested. I haven't slept yet, how can you sleep? Uchiha Qiaoshan complained silently in his heart. After skillfully climbing over the gate, Uchiha Qiaoshan stood in the courtyard and said in a low voice. Lord Clan Leader, Uchiha Qiaoshan has something to see you. The matter is urgent. Please atone for your sins. Uchiha Okayama's performance began. Chapter 10 Enslaving Uchiha Fugaku. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Uchiha Qiaoshan's voice was not loud, Uchiha Qiaoshan believed that with Uchiha Fugaku's basic qualities as a Kage-level ninja, he would definitely be able to react and respond. Uchiha Choshan only waited for a short moment before hearing Uchiha Fugaku's answer. "Come in." Hearing Uchiha Fugaku's voice and receiving permission, Uchiha Choshan walked into the tea room where the clan leader usually entertained guests without being polite. After Uchiha Fugaku entered the room, he found that Uchiha Fugaku had already put on a kimono and was sitting upright, obviously waiting for his arrival. Regarding the arrival of Uchiha Okayama, Uchiha Fugaku still attaches great importance to it. After all, he is as famous as Uchiha Shisui, a genius ninja of the Uchiha clan. Although he may not be his opponent now, he is also the high-end combat power of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Choshan also sat down and was about to speak. At this moment, a beautiful woman with a slim figure and a pretty face in a kimono walked in with a tea tray in hand. The beautiful woman didn't say anything. She served them hot tea and refreshments one after another. She nodded to Uchiha Choshan and then left. Uchiha Choshan thanked him and waited for the patriarch's wife, Uchiha Mikoto, to exit before he started to speak. Uchiha Choshan plans to repeat his old tricks. He is not afraid of old tricks, as long as they are easy to use. Master Patriarch, Choshan came here this time to report something important. There are many people during the day, so I had to come late at night to disturb you. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, expressing understanding. If there is anything important, just say it directly. As your clan leader, this is my responsibility. Uchiha Okayama gets straight to the point. Choshan came here this time because there seem to be some changes in my Sharingan. The clan leader also knows that my parents died a few years ago. If this kind of thing happens, no one can discuss it, so I have no choice but to trouble the patriarch. Uchiha Fugaku took a sip of tea and waved his hand. What are you talking about, Choshan? As the leader of the Uchiha clan, and you are the elite ninja of our clan, it is my responsibility as the clan leader to solve your problems. Choshan, open your Sharingan, let me help you take a look. Uchiha Okayama was not polite. He opened the Sharingan directly, and revealed the Mangekyo Sharingan to Uchiha Fugaku. Of course Uchiha Fugaku knew about the Mangekyo Sharingan, but he didn't expect Uchiha Choshan to be able to open the kaleidoscope at this age. When the pattern of Uchiha Choshan's Mangekyo Sharingan was revealed, Uchiha Fugaku was not mentally prepared at all and was directly shocked. And stood stunned on the spot. Uchiha Choshan was afraid of long nights and many dreams, so when Uchiha Fugaku was surprised and unprepared, he immediately activated the Mangekyo Sharingan and released the pupil technique. Beyond the god. As the owner of the Mangekyo Sharingan, Uchiha Fugaku immediately felt bad when Uchiha Okayama activated the Mangekyo and released the pupil technique, and did not bother to hide his Mangekyo Sharingan, so he immediately activated the Mangekyo. Resist the pupil technique that invades the brain. However, as the so-called strongest genjutsu, there is no way that the other gods can resist it. Just when Uchiha Fugaku showed his Mangekyo Sharingan, the other gods had already invaded Uchiha Fugaku's brain like an overwhelming force. Modified his deep introverted thoughts and changed his will. From then on, his thoughts of Uchiha Choshan were the highest instructions of Uchiha Fugaku. After feeling that the Beyond God was successful, Uchiha Choshan breathed out slowly and finally relaxed. Don't watch Choshan easily control Uchiha Fugaku with another god. However, that's because Uchiha Fugaku was unprepared, and he didn't know that Uchiha Choshan had such a heaven-defying pupil technique as the other god. Otherwise, Uchiha Fugaku is also the owner of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Not only does he have much more combat experience than Uchiha Okayama, but he is still in the prime of life and has basically no weaknesses. If Uchiha Okayama hadn't sent a message, damn, how could it be possible to succeed so easily? And just when Uchiha Fugaku was controlled by the other god, his wife Uchiha Mikoto didn't know whether she felt the movement in the tea room or simply felt something was wrong, and walked in from inside. Husband, what happened just now? I seem to feel a wave of chakra just now. Are you okay? When Uchiha Mikoto was talking, Uchiha Fugaku had already been transformed by the belt god. He slowly closed the kaleidoscope he had just opened, picked up the tea cup, took a sip of tea, and answered with the same tone and attitude as usual. Mikoto, it's okay. I was checking Chiu Shan's Sharingan just now. You can go and rest first. I still want to discuss things with Chiu Shan. The clan leader's wife, Uchiha Mikoto, would never have imagined that in such a short period of time, her husband's thoughts would have been enslaved by Uchiha Okayama. Okay, I'm going to rest first. I'm sorry, Chiu Shan-kun. Uchiha Mikoto bowed and turned around to go back. Uchiha Chiu-shan let out a relaxed breath and wiped the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead. It was so dangerous just now. As long as he made a slight mistake, Uchiha Chiu-shan would have no choice but to consider defecting. However, risks and rewards are directly proportional. Now, he controls Uchiha Fugaku, and the Great Elder also supports him. This is equivalent to the fact that the Uchiha clan now has the final say. So, now is the time to reap the rewards. Uchiha Chiu-shan looked at Uchiha Fugaku. The clan leader was still sitting upright, looking at him with a calm expression. You know what happened, right? Uchiha Fugaku nodded. You enslaved me and changed my thoughts so that I am completely loyal to you now. My life and death depend entirely on your thoughts. Even if you ask me to do anything, including suicide, I will not hesitate. Do it, and I won't have any complaints against you. You must have used the Mangekyo Sharingan's technique just now, right? I didn't expect your technique to be so powerful. I have no ability to resist at all. However, I remember that your Sharingan should be biased toward copying. No. I thought that the Awakened Kaleidoscope Eye's technique turned out to be a top-notch illusion technique. I couldn't use any backup skills I had reserved. Speaking of this, Uchiha Fugaku shook his head regretfully, as if it was a pity. When Uchiha Fugaku heard what Uchiha Fugaku said, cold sweat broke out on his back, and he was filled with fear. He didn't expect that at this time, Uchiha Fugaku would have a backup plan. Uchiha Fugaku seemed to understand Chiu Shan's thoughts, smiled and comforted. Don't worry, your pupil technique makes me completely loyal to you, and I will not do anything detrimental to you. The backhand I left behind has been released.